Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's November 6th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. My voice is still a little, off, but I feel a whole lot better. Pretty much, I think I've about gotten this thing shaken. It's probably just going to take my voice a couple more days to get back to normal, but I am feeling a lot better. Um, So another quiet kind of range day. We had this big sell-off here, which was a little surprising that it sold off so quickly. But you can see we had this one over here that did the same thing. So this, when we got to this price level, it should have been no surprise that we turned down here because you got two legs up, and this is a range here, and this is very clear, especially when we got that big bearish bar that far away from the EMA. So if you just caught that one trade, you had a pretty good day. It looked like we were going to get a second leg down here similar to this one, but in my opinion, I think we got a leg down, two legs up, and then another leg down here, and then we just pushed a little lower, running some stops and stuff before we got back in the range again. In the middle of the range is where most of the price action was in the morning and in the afternoon, and that's where it's the hardest really to trade. I mean, you just get chopped to pieces if you try to take a second entry short. It turns into a failure, so then you take a failed second entry in either direction and it fails, so it's a failed failure, and you're just better off to, you got to be really careful. You got to play this properly, and really the only way is to wait on the little failed breakouts or try to get long real close to the lows, or short real close to the highs. Really, these are your better ones, but you didn't get many opportunities on them. So but there's a few other trades in here. We'll point them out as we get to them. And there's a bunch of second entries and failed second entries and stuff. And you could probably find them all over this chart every day. And that's why when you're in a range like this, you got to you need to be real careful on the failures. You're really only looking for them at reversal areas, places where you're expecting prices to reverse and go the other way, like off these lows, or when we made a breakout down here and you were looking for another leg down. You're looking for prices on this correction to reverse, and you want to be sure that they reversed. So things like that. This little failed break lower right here, that's the kind of thing you're looking for. So um, we got a little failed break lower here, but you never really got a good setup. You got a reversal here. I marked it. We'll talk about it when we get to it, but it won't take long today. And that's probably good again, because that's when my throat starts to bother me again when I start talking a lot. So, but anyway, 7 o'clock came right in this little failed second entry short right here. But I just don't think anything's worth getting long right into that high. It turns out it works, but they'll work sometimes, but most of the time you'll get burned. Um, but you end up with this. You actually you've got strong resistance all the way across there, if you see that. So that would have been a great place to look for a short. You can see we've been turning down there since yesterday. And so when prices gave you that big bearish bar that far away from the EMA, especially after a close outside a new high, I'm going to probably take that every time. It's a little aggressive because it's early. Um, we do have two legs up right there. So that's another reason I kind of like that one. But it's a little aggressive because you probably want to wait on a lower high, and you don't really get a lower high setup till down here at the lows, and it's too late because now you need to be thinking long. And but if you took that one trade probably would have paid off nicely for you. That's the one time that's when on range days, that's the few times I'll look for runners off these highs and off these lows, places like that. So otherwise, you're probably better off not to try to get runners on, especially when you get in the middle like this. But anyway, we went a little bit lower here. We make a higher low, and then we make a failed second entry short. Normally, I would like to see this above the EMA, but we did push up, and we are looking for prices to reverse. So you're probably going to have some shorts trapped here, people thinking that another leg's coming. So I'd probably take that one. You can see it. moved on up, and then it just kind of got flat there. But we weren't back up to the highs. It was a really prices really struggled to get up there. And then when they did, it's just like everybody took a big gasp and said, "Oh, we made it. Now we can stop trying," and phew, the bottom falls out of it. Maybe there was a news item that came out. I don't think there was any scheduled news. This is earnings season. There's a lot of stuff going on with in politics with the Trump impeachment and all, news coming out here and there, and something like that could trigger. But generally, I don't put a whole lot of stock in that stuff. Personally, I think when they see a big sell-off like this, they'll go find a reason and write a story to match the price. I think they write the stories to match the price action. I don't think the price action really reacts to the stories that much. I think it's vice versa. So, not to say that there's not surprise news items that catch the market off guard, but for the most part, I think they write the news to fit the price action. So that's my belief anyway. But yeah, that's a failed second entry short there. That's your best. That's the only decent entry you got down here at the lows to try to ride this back up. And of course, we already got a break of that trend line if that's valid. There is a second entry long right here, but you've already had a break, and you've really got a couple legs up, so you got to be really careful. The way I would trade this one was I'd let it break higher, and I'd drop my limit order a little bit lower just to give me room to get out. It wouldn't have mattered, but you really need to try to get a little better entry, and I don't know if you'd have got one there, so that's really a little bit aggressive because it wouldn't have backed up enough to give you enough room, in my opinion. I don't think you could, even if you came all the way back to here, I don't know if you quite had enough room. It would have been real close. But you are expecting prices to go back to the highs. So, there's enough reason there to say, hey, we may push on back up there. Then we just end up kind of going sideways. You can't go short or long here. There's just nothing there worth taking. And then you get this little drop lower. There is a higher low right here, but you don't have much room back to that EMA, although you are expecting prices to come back and test this breakout, but you may get another leg down and test the low first, so you just never know. So again, I don't think it's worth taking. We tried to go lower again, but again, this is where these failed second entry and stuff will trip you up. This isn't the spot to be looking for that, really, especially that looks more like congestion because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars stacked up there. At least one of those is a doji. They both look really close to dojis. They're a tick or so off, so just not a good place to enter. You'd probably be better off to wait on a failed break out one side or the other. But look, we do pull back up there. And if you'd got a good setup here, you might have considered short, but again, you don't get it. And then you break out the bottom, and you finally get a higher low right here, but you don't have much room back to here. This could be blue, but the only way I would allow that to be blue is if you let prices break higher, and you could drop a limit order in there enough back that you could get out before getting to those highs. And if you could do that, this one still worked either way, but really the only way I would mark that blue would be if you could get a little better entry, which you could have. It broke higher and it backed up a tick or two. I can't remember exactly how far it backed up, but or if you had a little better some of these you might have had a little better setup than me, and you might could have taken them anyway. But on my chart, I would classify them as a little bit aggressive. Same thing here. You came back up, you tested the high. You don't quite have enough room. So if this breaks lower and you can drop a limit order far enough back that you can scalp out, then you might could take that one. And the other thing is if it starts bouncing right across here like it's doing and just going sideways, you may go ahead and take what you can get, take a couple of ticks, 3 ticks, whatever it'll give you, and just exit. Because the last thing you want it to do is bounce and go the other way and stop you out. So when you start to get 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacking up, that's not a good sign that you're going lower. So if you are not scalped out, just if you can get out with a tick to the good, you're better off than taking a loss. So, and then of course it bounces and you get a little breakout pullback. And now I would finally say, hey, on that breakout pullback, we're probably going to definitely catch some shorts right there, and you can probably ride this one. Maybe we're headed back to the top, so I like that one. Notice you got two legs too. There's a leg up, a little correction, and a second leg, and so that's probably going to fool some people that looks for two legs. And that's one place I do like a little bit of a, there's a little bit of a trap there. It's actually a breakout pullback. It pulls back and tests this, which is what you want to see. And we do close a little higher than we did previously, right across there. So that's a good sign. And of course it does, it jumps up. And then like we already talked about that one, there's still resistance across there. So that's basically a failed breakout. You could count that as there's two legs up right there, and plus you got this leg and a two-legged correction and a second leg. So there's a two legs up. So that's a great place to consider a short. We've been turning down there every time, and this is like people were waiting for prices to get there, and then all the sellers jump in and boom. And if you catch that one trade, and this is where I'd probably try to hold a runner up here just in case it does just what it does. Then you get a little two-legged correction. That's really one leg on this chart, but notice the move up, pull back, move up. So there's a second entry short there, but it's not a very good setup. There is a lower high right here, but now you're right back into the support, and look at it holding. It bounces a couple of times, so you can't risk that one. But notice again, it pushes on through, it pulls back, and it tests it on a failed second entry long, gives you a nice bearish bar. It is a little close to these lows. Of course, this stem comes way down here, which gives you enough room. And you wouldn't have, you might have used a limit order and got a tick out of this, but you wouldn't have got much more than that. It is the first break of this little trend line, and we are likely to make a new low, though, because that's a pretty strong leg down. So we're going to at least try that next leg, and we may make a new low. So I like that one. And we could have started a downtrend here. It wasn't out of the possibility that we started down from here. Didn't end up happening. We ended up bouncing right back again. Of course, you don't get any chance to ride it back. And then now you're going sideways again. But look at that support, and then suddenly, boom, you get that little failed break lower and an instant reversal and a nice bullish bar. We're probably headed back higher again. I would look for at least at the minimum. Here's your first leg up. I would look for a measured leg. Well, come on. Measured leg, and that gives you a target here. So you might catch a ride up right here. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happens. You actually get a little more than a measured leg up. And then we just go sideways the rest of the day. And I don't see any reason to. There is a double test right here. If you'd have taken it, would have worked, but look at the resistance across there. It's just not, it's not worth it. Even though we're not quite to the highs again, it's just not worth getting trapped in this zigzagging stuff right in the very middle of the chart, so, or the range. So that pretty much ended it for the day. And it just wasn't much. It's just another quite kind of a little more volume today than there was at times yesterday. You can see there is a little more volume today. And we had a little volatility. Most of it was to the downside. Once we got to it seems like this is a great selling point up here. And if we get back up there again, it may sell off one more time like that. So just notice where that price, this is like up here near all-time highs, 30.77. And a lot of selling's coming in right there. So anyway, just another kind of ho-hum trading day. We'll see what tomorrow brings, but I'm going to wrap it up today, and hopefully I'll continue to improve as the week goes on. Tomorrow actually will be it, and hopefully by Monday I'll be back to normal. We'll just see. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.